Yo, YouTube, man, it's your boy BJ coming at you guys with a kind of a different video today. There's no music, no gigs per se, but it's pretty much gonna be like a raw, try to be uncut as possible video and kind of just like explain the last, I guess, 2.5 years of my life. People that have met me have kind of got like rundowns of my life in different phases of it, different explanations, kind of going in depth about like the last 2.5 years or so, like after I've graduated college, and like what my life has been like. And I think I just want to sit down and have a neutral place to where I can kind of send everybody, and also to have as like a bookmark of sorts, so me to just come back and look on and say, I remember how I was feeling in that time in my life, and maybe it inspires someone else. But essentially I'm doing this like kind of as a bookmark for me, but if anyone can take anything away from my story, like that's more than worth it to me. So we're just gonna jump right into it. We're gonna go back into 2019 and then work our way up. So I remember like it was yesterday. I was in a practice room at UT. It was, I think, November 19th or something like that. It's like a little bit before Thanksgiving, before we went home for the break. And I was in a practice room practicing, and I had a hoodie on. I also had like a jean jacket over that, just like layered up. And as I was practicing, like I got like super itchy and like kind of hot. So I was just like, let me take a layer off. So I took my jean jacket off, started practicing again. And I was like, bro, it's something like, it's like a burning sensation. I couldn't explain it, but that's the first time like I've ever kind of noticed something like that happening outside of me like playing sports. Like that would happen when I would run like the wrestling team in high school. They used to have like the heaters on in there and we would be running. And it's like before I started sweating, I would kind of get kind of prickly. But that's the only time I've kind of ever had that sensation kind of, and that's what it was kind of similar to. So I didn't really pay any mind. I was just like, I don't know, that was weird. Left the practice room, went back, did normal routine stuff. And I went back home for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was fine. Came back to school for December and finished out, you know what I'm saying, got through finals and all that stuff, and came back home for Christmas break. And that's where things kind of got like, kind of really, I guess, difficult. I just use that word. So I come back home for break and I'm starting to, like I said, the last time I've had that sensation was like a week before Thanksgiving. So fast forward like a whole month forward, I come home and I'm about to go to the gym at my mom's apartment complex. So I go down to the gym, I'm about to do like my first warm-up set, and I kid you not, like I literally can't even start to do warm-ups. Like I try to stretch, I try to just get my body up to a temperature, just do anything. And it feels like my entire body is getting like attacked by fire ants. That's the only way to describe it. Literally a burning sensation over my entire body, and just like excruciating pain. So I try to fight through it, but it gets to a point where I'm just like, bro, I can't do it. Like I literally had to run out the gym, ran upstairs to the apartment, and like literally hop right in the shower. My mom was looking at me. She's like, bro, what is going on? She's like, why you, like, what happened? I'm just like, I'm itching, like burning. Like it feels like, like I said, just being attacked by fire ants. And it was just like a burning sensation that would start in one area of my body and it would shoot everywhere. And like I said, very, very painful. And it was just like, man, what is, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is happening? So I didn't know if it was like a one-off event. I didn't know if it was like detergent I was using. I didn't know if it was my body wash. Like, I didn't know what it was because I'm very allergenic, have asthma, the whole nine. So I use mild everything. I'm using the same body wash, the same deodorants, the same, like, everything for the longest. The only thing I changed up in my routine around that time was I had started using Dr. Bronner's. And so I wonder if it's Dr. Bronner. So I cut the Dr. Bronner's out and just went back to my normal, like, Aveeno soap. At the time I was using Aveeno, I use Dove now. But cut that out and it still persisted. So I didn't know what was going on, but like I said, it was kind of triggering me going on through the Christmas break. And so we go back to school for my last semester of college. It's January 2020. Before I even head back for classes to start, I have gigs lined up in Knoxville already. So I'm heading back to Knoxville to do some gigs. And the first gig I have, I think it was at the place called the Open Court in Knoxville. At this venue, I think it was like 6 or 7 o'clock. It's January, mind you. My birthday was about like a week out or so. And so we get to the venue, set up all that stuff, and like, I feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I walk in, and mind you, it's the winter time, so every building is hot, like with heaters on and stuff. And I've noticed I can't get hot. I have to go outside constantly. So pretty much, I set my drums up best as I could, like in that meantime. And then after I did that, I decided to just go outside and wait till the gig started, because I pretty much couldn't function up until we started. So we're getting through the gig, I'm playing it, but very uncomfortably. So the entire time I'm constantly readjusting, I'm constantly like just itching, like legs are burning, just trying to pretty much get through the set as best as possible. I'm chugging through like 3-4 glasses of water to keep my body temperature down, but like nothing is working. So, you know what I'm saying, I'm just keeping time, you know what I'm saying, but trying to get through it the best I can. And what ends up happening is we get through our first set, and I noticed we did a burner like for the last song before the set. And so at that point I kind of started to sweat. And once I got to that breaking like threshold point, like I was in a lot of pain, but once I hit that threshold to be able to sweat, I got through the rest of the gig fine, pretty much. I was like, that was weird, but a light bulb kind of went off in my head. So after that gig breakdown, get back to my apartment in Knoxville, and I go to, we had a gym at the time in our apartment. And so I go get on the treadmill and I just run. I'm just like, bro, let's see what happens if I just get on here and just run and see if that alleviates the pain of the situation or whatever. And it was like the first 2-3 minutes, I was using every ounce of energy in my body to stay focused on this treadmill because my body was literally just like to the point of, I've been in a lot of pain in my life. I've had like broken bones and stuff playing sports and whatnot, but the only way to describe it, like I said, is fire. It's literally attacking your whole body and you're itching and you're trying to focus on running in a straight line on a treadmill. And so I got through the threshold, just bumped my music, got it up. And what happened was I started to sweat finally. So, which is also, I'm gonna know, I've always been a heavy sweater my entire life. I've never had an issue sweating, like ever. Like any of my old high school pictures, you see me, we had gray uniforms, it would be black by the end of the game. I've always been a heavy sweater. So for me not being able to sweat, and it's hard for me to break a sweat, it's like a red flag off rip. So I finally get the sweat out, and I go back to my apartment to take a shower, and I take my shirt off, and I said, holy Jesus. So my entire torso and back was literally like inflamed. Like it looked like I had chicken pox almost. So that was the first time I've ever seen that like pop out on my body. And I was like taking pictures. Actually, I take that back. The first time it happened, I didn't take pictures. I just noticed it, made a note of it, and I called my mom. Like after I got out the shower, it was like, something was weird. Like my entire body, those whole places I say I was itching and burning, it looked like I should be itching and burning. However, weird enough, when those bumps and stuff showed, that's when I was actually like, okay. So that's gonna be a common thread I'm gonna mention. Like when they showed up, I felt good. When they were not showing up, that's when problems pretty much would arise. So like I said, didn't take a picture the first time it happened, but I did let my mom know. And the next time that it happened, I was like, let me take pictures. Only thing about it is pictures did not do it justice. Like if you saw me in person, like a film or whatever, you'd be like, oh crap, like you would really see. But like, I don't know what it is, but I guess how small they were, like you couldn't really get the full picture, like just through a camera. You could tell, like you could definitely tell, but if you saw it in person, you'd be like, ooh, like almost like poison ivy, kind of like just all over. So Gonna fast forward a little bit, that's January. I'm trying to get through the semester and it's getting bad. It's to the point where I think I'm gonna have to take a medical withdrawal from school my last semester because I can't focus in class. The time I'm doing drum lessons for my curriculum and I'm having trouble even being able to get through my drum lessons. We'll start off maybe 2 minutes and we'll literally have to stop because I'm in so much pain. And so at this time, it's pretty much, like I said, it'll be an sensation, like maybe my ankle or something, like it'll start and then it'll be like a rush of pain, like start from my torso up out, and I'm pretty much just chalked. So I said, between rehearsals, gigs, and just curriculum in general with music, especially on drums, like that's a lot of, it's very commanding on your body. So it was kind of hard to hide it, but I was doing the best I could until it got to a point where I couldn't. So I would be like in my ensemble rehearsals and I would be keeping time or something. And then I would just literally have to bend over on the snare drum, like in pain, just trying to like, you know what I'm saying, hold it together. So it'd be a point where like the instructor would be like, are you okay? And then I would be like, okay, I've been kind of struggling the last like 2 months with this weird phenomena going on in my body. I don't know. But this kind of starts the unfortunate long run of like doctor visits. So I have been going to my allergist. I went to a dermatologist, I think with the 2 dermatologists actually. Did the whole 9 scan biopsies, urine samples, the allergy test where, you know what I'm saying, they put different things on your body to like see what triggers you, like on your back and all that stuff, and on your arm, and see what bumps up. And all my stuff came back pretty much normal in the sense that like my allergies that I already had, they still showed up, but everything else was, they're like, you're pretty much healthy. You're healthy, what, 20, I was 22 at the time. They're like, you're a healthy 22-year-old, 21, 22-year-old, and we don't see anything in your blood work. We don't see anything. And I kind of got used to hearing that because from, I guess, January up until maybe December of 2021, I was going everywhere, to every specialist you can imagine. My primary care physician, I was just going everywhere. But kind of jumping over the place, I'm sorry. Going back to March. So like I said, I'm getting through the semester, thinking about taking a medical withdrawal, and of course, thing happens, the Rona. I may have to bleep that word out for YouTube. I know the algorithm may be weird, but that happened, and I was planning a trip to LA actually. Me and a few of my friends were gonna go out there, shoot like music videos, and just have a fun time. We're gonna go to a Lakers game, all that stuff. We had everything planned out, plane tickets, Airbnbs, it was all bought. So what ended up happening was, of course, that situation, global shutdown, and I go home for spring break, and I pretty much never went back. We went home and I finished out my degree online pretty much through Zoom University, and I finished up in August of 2020. But through that entire process, I was just like going through it, like really going through it. And pretty much the only people that knew were people that were like in combo with me, ensemble, and like my close family and friends. Like I told them like what was going on, but everybody else I just had to try to put a fake face on and get through it best as I could. So like I said, I was really thinking about taking that medical withdrawal. So kind of doing home school and all that stuff was a blessing in disguise for me, honestly. But all that to say, I ended up getting my degree, so we finished. But in the middle of me transitioning from college to just postgraduate life, I had to move out of my apartment, all that stuff, but I still didn't have answers. So during this time, I'm pretty much in bed for maybe 12 to 14 hours a day with box fans constantly blowing on me. I can't go from one room to the next because the temperature change literally caused a spike in my body. It just like make me just pretty much be immobile. And it was just like, man, it's super frustrating. Like I said, I got to a point where I would be with friends and then we would be talking or something, just chilling, and then I'd be like, bro, I gotta go. And they'd be like, what's going on? Just like, I'm not feeling well. And you know what I mean? It would be like little stuff like that. So like I said, all my close friends and stuff, I was telling them about like my situation, getting through it, fighting it, trying to stay positive, and just trying to make the best of it. But like I said, I come home trying to get stuff situated, and it's just doctor visit after doctor visit. And in the midst of all of that, I said, we're shut down. So I'm having to do Zoom calls with doctors. Like I did like a rheumatologist because they was thinking there was a lot of stuff. They was just like, I don't know if it's brain related. That's all I did. Like, you know what I'm saying? CAT scans on my head and just the whole nine. I literally did everything you can think of. So they got to a point where they were like, all right, we're thinking about neuro. So there was like neurology, maybe. It's like your nerves are going bad. So they got me to go to a neurologist here, and they referred me to somewhere called the Cleveland Clinic up in Ohio. So we had to fly out there. My mom's first time ever on a plane. We fly out, and this will give kind of like a timeline of where we are now. I kind of left off in like March 2020 when we had to do the shutdown. Now, fast forward through doctor visits and being immobile for like 12 hours a day and pain and all that stuff. Now, fast forward to like November 2020. So I have an appointment set up in Cleveland, Ohio at the Cleveland Clinic with their neurology department to get blood work done and some form of testing that they only have up there. They had it in Vanderbilt, but I guess they got rid of it. So they had to refer me all the way up to Cleveland. So me and my mom get on the plane, her first time ever on a plane. We go up to Cleveland, get the testing done, and they say, we confirm that you have something called small fiber neuropathy. Now, the thing about neuropathy is essentially something that happens as a result of an underlying issue you already have. In my case, they just had neuropathy, but they couldn't figure out the underlying case, but they did give me a name for it. So with that being said, I was able to like try to apply for like disability and like make a case for that, which is a whole nother can of worms. Like I went through that process, got denied like 3 times, and was just on a waiting list forever. So that was unfortunate, but at least I had like a name to give them on my case file and stuff. But like I said, after we did the testing, we come back, and now instead of doing neurological visits and during neurological visits in Chattanooga, they're just sending me to Nashville now. I will say, in terms of like doctor visits and all that stuff, kind of jumping around a little bit, I'm sorry, but the final straw I will say with me as far as pain and like finally breaking down to go see doctors was like January 2020, and we had a show with the Knoxville Jazz Orchestra. Pretty much most of the faculty at UT plays in that ensemble, and they bring in special guests all the time. I had Kendrick Scott, Daphnis, Pareto, he came in, like just a star-studded lineup, like people come in all the time. And for this event, we had Jeff Hamilton come in, and he, the bass player at UT, bass instructor rather, John Hamer, he's the bass player for Jeff Hamilton and his trio. So, long story short, he was the special guest for the KJO January 2020 when they came. And when I'm at the show, I literally could not sit still. I was sitting with like Jeff's family, like I ended up meeting them, they were super cool. And I had to leave at intermission because I was in so much pain that I just went to the ER. I was like, that was my last straw. They gave me, I think it was Benadryl, because they thought it was like allergic reaction. And I was telling like the nurse that was there what's going on. And he was like, man, I go through the same thing when I work out, my whole body turns red, whatever. So we thought it was like something along those lines. that was like the first like step in terms of medical situations. So like I said, we're rewinding back to January 2020. We're fast forwarding all the way back again to where I left off at like November 2020. So after the visit at the clinic, like I said, I come back. My primary neurologist now is in Nashville, so I'm doing a lot of Nashville trips to see them, and they're starting to put me on medications. So originally, first things I was doing was like steroid, like cortisone, because I've always had that done for like my asthma, and so I thought that would help. But after like 2 days of it, it usually wears off. And after I saw not getting results, I was like, it's definitely not this. It's not treatment. So we go to, like I said, neurology, and they want to put me on, I forgot the exact name of it right now, but it's pretty much an antidepressant. And they use those to help neuropathy patients and stuff like that. I have to look up the exact name of what they gave me, but they put me on this dosage, and it sucked getting on it. But honestly, it was worse like getting off of it. And after that, I was like, yeah, I'm not dealing with like any form of opioids or antidepressants. Like, I'm not doing it again. Like, it pretty much turned me into a zombie. It made my situation that was already bad pretty much worse. Like, that stuff just numbed the crap out of me. It was to the point where I was already feeling bad and laying in bed for hours of the day as it is. But now it was because I was literally induced with medication. And so I was stacking out with like vitamin B, B12, like the whole 9 with vitamin B that's supposed to help neuropathy and things that help you neurologically. That's supposed to help. I was stacking it with pretty much anything you think of, multivitamins, like the whole 9. I'm like just stacking all these vitamins to see if something helps, and nothing is helping. The only thing that was helping me was going to the sauna. And I would just sweat it out, and I would throw some pictures up and show you guys kind of what that was looking like when I go to the sauna. But literally listening to Nipsey Hussle Victory Lap, get to like track number 6, that's around 30 minutes in, I had a time like programmed in my brain. It would get me through it. The first 5-10 minutes of being in that sauna would be literally a living hell. I'm not even just gonna sugarcoat it with you guys. It was to the point where, like I said, I would be curled over on the drums. I would be in the sauna curled up in a ball, trying not to I would pray that it was empty, because if it wasn't, I would be in the pain and just have to you know what I mean? Just have to sit there to the point where I would be in so much pain with people around me, but I would just put my head down and just be meditating, be praying, just listening to the music, just trying to get through it. And that was my life. Like, really, just sauna. And that was it. Like sauna and playing Call of Duty with the boys, like on Warzone. Just like, that's how at that time I was keeping myself sane and connected to the world. I think a lot of people during the lockdown and things like that, a lot of us found gaming and other things as an outlet, which I was already heavy into, but that made me kind of want to go into like the streaming route and all of that stuff. So like I said, playing the game a lot and just going to Gold's Gym. And I ended up getting a membership to Gold's because I was going to Knoxville a good amount still, because I was getting some church gigs up there. And I just wanted to have the flexibility to like be able to go to the sauna whenever I had a gig, if I need to get a session in because I was hurting, just to get me through the service or services, because I was playing multiple. So where are we at? We're past November 2020, past our doctors, explained the pills and all that stuff. Now I'm going to fast forward to like February 2021. During that trip, when I was in Ohio around November 2020, I had started talking to a young lady, getting to know her, and that would go on to be like my first official relationship. And we made it official in like February 2021. So, and during the time she was still in UT, so I was going up there to see her. Like I said, the sauna stuff was helping. Kind of explain my situation while I was up in Cleveland and all that stuff, like off rip. So she was up to date with everything. And like, thank God for her, like me being able to get introduced to her in that point in my life, because I was in a very, very dark spot in my life, because it got to a point to where it was just like, it didn't seem like it was gonna be an end. It was like always something in the terms of doctors don't have answers, disability isn't trying to like help out financially, like just stress. It was just constant stress, and I really got into like a very, very depressive state, like internally. Like people around me in my life that on the outside looking in, like the attitude I had about stuff and going about it, I seemed fine. I was very upbeat, just very positive, and that's just my nature in general. I'm a very spiritual person, and so I was always just like, I still don't know why I'm going through this, but I know God has a reason for it and a purpose for it. So I was just trying to, you know what I'm saying, be positive as best I could. But like internally, it was really getting to me. It was to a point to where I was gonna like call my brother, call my uncle or someone, and just be like, honestly, I need someone to hold my firearm. Like, I don't need to have it on me. Like, I don't. I never did call them. I never did mention that. That's the first time I've ever like spoken about those thoughts. But been in a position of helplessness and not understanding how people get driven to that point. Until you go through something that puts you in that dark of a space, you really don't understand it until you put yourself in that position, I guess. And it was literally half of my day more than that in pain. And the only time I had release was when I would get in the shower, and it would be right back to pain and just having to be cautious about everything I did. And I was really just tired. I was tired, I was exhausted. I was in a point of just like, do doctors really not know? Like, is it gonna have to be like this the rest of my life? Is it gonna have to be something to where there's nothing I can do? It's just like, cause that's all they were saying. It was like, there's nothing we can do, you're fine. Like, I was like, bro, I'm not fine. Like, I'm literally in agonizing pain for 75 to 80% of my day. Like, I feel like a shell of myself. That's the best way to describe it. You have the medications already like pretty much numbing you down and feeling like a zombie. And then you throw on the fact to where you just like, I'm 22 years old. I have years of life left to live, and if I have to live in this kind of state, I don't want to do that. Like, I was just honestly to that point. But like I said, this is all stuff I'm dealing with internally. Like, I had told no one about this. Like, I was just going through it, and like I said, luckily the support system I have around me, like, I do not take it lightly at all. From my friends, family, to my then girlfriend, like, she was there every step of the way. It was really hard. It was, but like I said, my support system, right, it was financially, just words of wisdom here and there. They really was there for me, and like I said, I don't take it for granted. So I was just, like I said, just struggling. So you put in perspective, like I said, this is like February, right? So I said we made it official. And anytime we want to go out or any kind of activities, we were limited to stuff I could do anyway, but I would just have to hit the sauna and be okay for like 24 hours or so. And then it would be right back to the position I was in. But at least I was starting to find a routine of stuff that worked for me. And that was very big in terms of like trying to see light at the end of the tunnel. So I was just like, man, just let me get on a routine. It's gonna suck, but let me just keep trying it and just see what can happen. That's pretty much how life goes. I ended up finally getting a walk. I didn't get the walk because of, you know what I'm saying, the Rona, but I walked with the 21s class. So we had our graduation at Neyland Stadium. I got to walk like 2 days. I think I walked on a Sunday. And I said my then girlfriend, she walked on a Friday, and then I did like the girlfriend proposal in front of her family and all that stuff when they was up there. So that was a beautiful thing. And it was just like those moments in my life I would just think about and be like, you know what I'm saying, I'm glad I kept persevering. I'm glad I had like God's word on my heart. I'm glad I had family and support around me, because there's so much life left for me to live, for me to just, you know what I'm saying? It may be hard, but it's worth to keep going. So, I said that's around like June or so. So at that point, I'm honestly probably the happiest in my life I've been in a very long time. It's still frustrating because we don't have a diagnosis, but in terms of still persevering and fighting through it and being confused, but at the same time, like, I'm starting to, you know what I'm saying, see glimpses of like just light in the tunnel, the best I can put it. But I'll still have my days, we all do. But for the most part, that was very big for me. So this is like June, this is like summertime of 21. Yeah, summertime of 21. So I said, I'm sorry, kind of moving all over the place. I'm trying to keep it together as best as I can. So if you're following me so far, thank you so much. But like I said, they originally diagnosed me with something called small fiber neuropathy. And then I ended up going to Nashville. I want to say, I think I had an appointment in like July or August. And that's when they told me that I pretty much had been misdiagnosed, because the medication wasn't working and whatever else. And they were pretty much just saying there's nothing they could do for me. Though, like I said, this was like August. And that was a very hard reality, because I had already known that they didn't know, but to hear it and to kind of just be like, there's nowhere left to turn. You've been to neurologists, rheumatologists, allergists, I pretty much with the whole canon of doctors. I had been calling family friends that work up in higher medical places to see if they had any leads and like potential anything, and it was nothing. It was dead ends. But that pretty much put the nail in the coffin, and it was just like, if you want to feel better, your health is literally going to have to be in your hands. You're going to have to find something that works. You're going to have to get on this system. And like I said, the sauna had been like my get out of jail free card, but I was like, there's got to be another way to still thrive. But oddly enough, man, you literally can't make this up. So I'm going to kind of divide this story into like part 1, part 2. So part 1 is pretty much everything I just said, right? Part 2 was literally life-changing. It's pretty much going to start here. This is January 2022. I pretty much have been studying all this stuff for the last like year and a half. Like what's going on in my body, like what does it sound like? And in the middle of doing that, I had came across something called heat hives, or chronic urticaria. Came across a chronologic urticaria. I'm sorry. I'm going to bring up the exact name. I'm going to post it. But essentially it's called heat hives. And I had saw the name of it before, like doing all these Google searches and documents, and like I was deep diving into like official, what they call like doctor databases, like all that's like I was reading whole articles like I was going to med school or something. Like I was hours a day on YouTube, hours a day like reading up articles and everything. I was going in. So one day I'm on YouTube and I'm scrolling and I come across this page, and it's literally called like Cholinergic urticaria. And it's a guy on there, he's probably in his late 30s, early 40s, and he's talking about this disorder in his body that he noticed like in his early 20s. And that's a common theme I've noticed. And he was talking about all his symptoms, and I was like, bro, it's checking boxes. It's like wow. I go to the comment section. Comments, I've been to numerous doctors. They said it was this, it's not that. They confirmed it, okay, it is this. And I was just like, this stuff is really sounding really familiar. Like it's checking off all these boxes. And so the guy, he had like a whole YouTube channel. I'll probably actually link it down below. So if anyone's dealing with this or noticing symptoms maybe, I'll like definitely shoot that over. So I put that link down below. But the guy was just saying like he changed his diet, he changed type of like bedding he was using, the type of certain deodorant, certain body washes. Like he just went down literally like a checklist. And so I got down in this rabbit hole and I pretty much was like, let's go. I was like, let's go. It's like, it's all in. If I find something, anything that can be a lead, we're going all the way in. So from that day, I literally scrapped my entire diet. From January 2022 until April 2022, my diet consisted of nothing but pretty much oatmeal, rice, like grilled chicken. I was using this app called Fig, and you type in the dietary restrictions you have, and it pretty much will like highlight red what you can't have, what's neutral and what's green. I had so much red that it was like I put out everything. Like I was Googling certain foods like that followed the guidelines of it. And essentially the name of the diet I went on is called a low histamine diet. So essentially what this means is your body naturally produces DOA or antihistamines. And if your body has a bucket, right, and you're naturally intaking this histamine from foods and everything else in daily life, your body's supposed to naturally like level that out. But in my case, my bucket will get full and it's not balancing. And so with that, I'm pretty much overproducing and it's causing these itchy sensations and burning and all of that. So to combat that, one of the things on that list was literally sweat therapy. I didn't think of it as sweat therapy. I'm just going to the sauna to sweat it out. It's literally sweat therapy. So that was one of the things on there that people said they did. It's like a whole list of stuff. Like I said, my notes app was just filled. But with that being said, I attacked it. I was being faithful, going to the sauna, knocking it out, and having like this super, super basic diet, nothing but water, just super basic. And prior to this, like in November, I was like the heaviest I ever been. I got to like 240. But by, I want to say February, I was already down to like 220. I had knocked off like 20 pounds like that quick. Just like my body was super inflamed as it was. Like I looked inflamed. Like that's the only way to describe it. And so, it was like just falling off me. So I had ended up getting to, losing a lot of weight with the diet just because you're not intaking a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, like you just very basic. And so my calorie intake was definitely like being offset by the productivity I was doing. So naturally just losing weight. But in the midst of all of that, I started to feel better. It would go from me struggling, you know what I'm saying, to just do basic tasks throughout the day without being in pain, to just being like, okay, I didn't go to the sauna today, but my diet has really been impacting, like, you know what I'm saying, skin, everything, the skin, feel, and it was just like, it started with what I was putting into my body. And that was like a real wake up call, because like I said, I would notice certain foods I ate that would like trigger me, but I didn't really, like I made a note of it, but I didn't know why it did. And then being able to come across that page and kind of explain like, all right, this is kind of like the rundown of everything and kind of what to stay away from. So like I said, just kind of recap, that name of the diet was a low histamine diet, and people with a disorder by the name of leaky gut kind of follow the same guidelines as this. But in my situation, it was just for dealing with like chronic hives essentially. So all this to say, in the midst of me like going through all this stuff, I was still like gigging. And after coming across that article, like in January, I did a camp in February with my with the mentor, man, my dog Chuck. Thank you so much, man, for every opportunity you give me. I was playing a Chuck gig. My dog Chuck Hooten, he called me up. Him and Colin O'Neill. I started playing with them when I was in Knoxville at the church. It's a church called Shoreline, but we stayed in contact, and so they had a camp going on out, kind of like Pigeon Forge area, kind of ish. So they hit me up, and they're like, "Can you do these dates, whatever?" And so I go do it. I had been following the routine for a minute, so I'll still be kind of, you know what I'm saying, a little in pain or whatever. But I was getting to a point where it was just normal. I was just to a point where it is what it is kind of thing. So me and Chuck were talking in the cabins one day, like in between. I told him like what was going on because, and like I said, this stuff started going on like November 2019, but I was still playing at his church a good amount during that like 2020 like kind of post opening up shutdown kind of time, like that real great area we're going through. I was playing at Shoreline a good amount, and we would have these talks, and I was like, bro, I'm going through this, whatever. But they would like check on me in between sets and like, how you feel today, like, and I would just explain to them what was going on. But fast forward all the way back to, like I said, February 2022, we're talking, and he's like, how you been, whatever. I'm just like, bro, man, I used to like these heat highs. Like I would just break down this thing called chronological urticaria on YouTube, and he was just like, man, you know what? I think I actually had that same thing. And I was like, huh? And he was like, except mild. I think he told me his was when he got cold, which is also it's a variation of it. Some people, they experience the same sensation, but instead of heat, it's with cold. But he was like, yeah, I couldn't get water on me. Like he was saying like he'd take showers and it would break out essentially. But like I said, mine was the opposite. Showers helped me. But yeah, I was just like, bro, that's wild. Like I've been like taking these supplements. I forgot the exact name of it, but it was like liver extract and stuff like that. Like just stuff that's supposed to help boost your immunity. Pretty much like just stuff that boosts your whole immune system to try to combat it. And he was just like, man, that sounds very similar. And I was like, you can't make that up. So that was February-ish. When we talked about that. And like I said, I just been on that routine really till now. I mean, I've kind of started supplementing more foods into my diet to the point where you can kind of say I'm in remission, but I'm just very cognizant of how I feel. So if I eat certain foods, I'm trying to be very mindful of how much of it I'm intaking, and just trying to make sure I'm staying active. So I ended up getting a part-time job at FedEx in the summer, and you sweat your butt off in them trucks. So that was like my sweat therapy on a daily, plus a paycheck on top of like the music and the gaming stuff I'm trying to do. So yeah, it was just a lot. But also kind of fast forward again, I kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but like I said, I left off in February 2022. We're gonna happen back in the time machine again. We're gonna head back to October 2021. So almost 4 years ago. I had got a call from a mutual friend that I went to school with in Knoxville, a church that he plays for, like second service. The keyboard player, he needed someone to fill in for his main service, like 10 a.m. service. So he referenced me, and that person ended up being my bro Keith. So if you followed me in pretty much my first vlog I did when I played at High Praises, that's the church it was. It was at High Praises, and Keith welcomed me in, and I got to meet Apostle Jack Midkiff and his son Kenzie, the worship leader there. And just the whole team was literally just loving from the first time I ever walked in there and played a conference with them, and then pretty much subbed in for probably 6 consecutive months of like waking up at like 5 a.m. and driving to Knoxville and coming back. But all that to say was, in the midst of me being in that super dark time, God planted me like at a church that was very loving and very very intentional with what they were doing, and it's easily been the most musical and fun playing I've had in church. The musicianship there was the best I played with, the arrangements, just the whole thing. It was the best situation I had been in. And they, like I said, I've opened up to them about like my situation. And that's why I said also I made this video, because like people that met me at certain times in my life, I explained it. Like some people I went in depth with, some people I kind of like breezed the surface with, but this video was to kind of like pretty much tie everything together. But like I said, in the midst of me like trying to figure out my situation, we were having revivals, we were having just regular service, like all these things, but the message will always be powerful. The spirit was very heavy in that place, and it was a place I needed to be at to help me like push through spiritually during that time, because going through stuff to where you feel like there's no hope, there's no end, like it's very draining, because not only was it daunting on my body physically, but emotionally, it takes a toll as well, because my confidence wasn't as strong. It's just like I couldn't be as me as I could be, if that makes sense. Like I said, I feel like I had become like a shell of myself, and so just being in that place allowed me to grow as a musician spiritually, and just so many other ways. Like, so like I said, I'm always gonna love that my family over there, high praises, man. Like, you guys definitely blessed me during that time, and I said those are my people. Like, we built definitely a tight bond there. So I said, I know I jumped around a lot during this, but I kind of just wanted to break everything down in just in one long video. So if you stuck through it, I'm definitely grateful. I hope it like kind of gave you more insight of kind of like who I am as a person, and kind of like the stuff that was going on. Because I tell you, man, like coming from college to post-grad life in general is a big step, and it's hard, but throwing in not knowing what's going on with your body and then adding like a global pandemic on top of it, like it's been something. It's been something for real. So like I said, this was more of just a sit down and talk video, but I kind of just wanted to finally like get all that stuff out. I'm pretty sure I left out some details, but this video is still 47 minutes, so it's like how much more detail that I need. But yeah, I say if you guys have any questions or anything, like feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to leave links, like I said, to the Urticaria channel, and all of my links for socials and stuff like that if you need to reach out. But pretty much, man, that's kind of like a testimonial video in a sense. It's just like I'm still here today. Like the stuff that I went through like made me who the person I am today. The character I built up from that experience, like I still can't tell you the exact reason why I had to, you feel me, go through what it is, but I always look at it like sometimes you don't go through stuff just for you. You know what I'm saying? You may be in a situation to where you don't know the outcome, but your testimony being able to get through is going to help the next person out get through whatever they're going through. Because at the end of the day, we're all going through something, whether we talk about it or not. We're all, you know what I'm saying, waking up, just trying to get through the day, like we all are. And that's one thing I've definitely learned, is to be careful, because like I said, my thing was you couldn't see my pain outside, but inside it was devastating. And it's a lot of people out there in the world that's just like that, where it's like you can't see what they're going through, but they're dealing with something. So, you know what I'm saying, be kind to everyone. Just keep that mental note in there. But man, like I said, thank you guys so much. It's been your boy BJ. I'm gonna sign off. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. We're still trying to get to 100 subscribers. And like I said, if you have any questions, anything about that, my life story, I can go back into how I got into music, another story time or something like that, if you guys want to do that. But just want to tackle, I guess, the last 2.5 years of my life at this point, almost 3. And yeah, so it's boy BJ signing off, man. Love you guys.